Let's be honest, COVID-19 was a trial run, a global dress rehearsal. It completely upended everything we thought we knew about our health, our economy, our world. But what happens when the real storm hits? Today, we're going to break down why scientists are so incredibly concerned about the next global pandemic, and more importantly, what that means for every single one of us.
And really, this is the question that keeps the experts up at night. We just saw what a virus with a relatively low mortality rate did to our planet. It shut down everything. But what if the next one is different? What if it's not just contagious, but incredibly lethal too? The thing is, pandemics are not a new thing, not at all. They're a recurring part of human history. You've got the Spanish flu over a century ago, then SARS, H1N1, Ebola, and of course, COVID-19, all within a lot of our lifetimes. These events consistently come along and just reshape society, reminding us that we're in this constant tug of war with the microbial world. To really get your head around that number, 50 million people. That's more than the entire population of Spain today. And this wasn't some ancient plague in the Dark Ages. This was in the 20th century with trains and telegraphs. It's just a brutal reminder of what a brand new respiratory virus is capable of.
Okay, so if we faced these kinds of threats before, what makes the next one potentially so much more dangerous? Well, the answer is that a few modern factors have come together to create what you could call a perfect storm for an outbreak.
So let's talk about these three invisible forces that are making things so much riskier. And these aren't just abstract ideas. No, these are real things happening right now that are basically rewriting the pandemic playbook.
First off, viruses never stop evolving. They are relentless. Think of a virus like a biological photocopier, making billions and billions of copies of itself. Most of the copies are perfect, but every now and then there's a tiny little error, a mutation, and just one of those tiny genetic shifts could make a virus way more contagious, far more deadly, or even completely resistant to the vaccines we count on. It's a biological arms race, and the viruses never, ever sleep.
Second, we are knocking down the natural walls that have always separated us from the animal kingdom. As we clear forests for cities and farms, we're coming into closer and closer contact with wildlife. And that wildlife carries countless viruses that our bodies have never seen before. Most new infectious diseases actually come from animals, and we're basically just rolling out the welcome mat for them.
And the third force? Well, it's actually one of our greatest strengths, which also happens to be our greatest weakness: global connectivity. 100 years ago, a virus traveled at the speed of a steamship. Today, it travels at the speed of a jet. A single infected person who doesn't even know they're sick can spread a new disease across multiple continents in less than a day.
So this brings us to a concept that scientists are now actively planning for. They call it Disease X. Now, this isn't a specific virus, it's a placeholder. It's the scientific community's way of saying, look, the next big pandemic is probably going to be caused by something we have never seen before, a pathogen we have zero natural immunity to and no ready-made treatments for.
And this right here, this is the part that really hits home. Look at the jump in how deadly these things can be. We saw the entire world grind to a halt because of a virus with a mortality rate of around 1%. But you know what? There are pathogens out there right now, in nature, like certain bird flus, with mortality rates of 50% or even higher. If a virus like that ever learned how to spread easily from person to person, well, the consequences are almost unthinkable.
And that absolutely terrifying thought forces us to ask a really hard question. Are we ready? COVID-19 was like a global stress test, and honestly, the results were not great. It showed us all the deep, systemic cracks in our global preparedness.
The cracks were just everywhere. We saw it. We ran out of simple things like masks. Hospital ICUs were pushed right to the edge, to the breaking point. And our early warning systems, they were too slow, too disconnected to really stop the spread. For years, scientists have been waving red flags, but the funding for critical research and response is still dangerously low.
This slide really paints the nightmare scenario perfectly. Just imagine a pathogen that takes the worst traits from viruses we already know. Imagine something that spreads through the air as easily as measles, where just one person can infect up to 18 others, but it kills with the terrifying efficiency of Ebola. That is the kind of threat we're talking about with Disease X. But look, the point of all this isn't to scare you. It's about having a healthy respect for the threat so we can empower ourselves with knowledge. Because when it comes down to it, the difference between chaos and control is just one thing: preparation. It is so easy to think of this as a faraway problem, something that happens over there. But in our world, that's just not how it works anymore. There are no borders in a pandemic.
A problem in one part of the world creates ripple effects everywhere else, through our supply chains, travel, the economy, the whole shebang. Believing this will affect you isn't being pessimistic, it's just being realistic.
So what can you actually do? Well, your power is in the basics. Seriously. First, stay informed, but make sure it's from credible sources, like public health organizations, not from some random post on social media. Second, make good hygiene, like washing your hands, just an automatic, non-negotiable habit. Third, keep a small stash of essential supplies handy. And finally, when the health authorities issue an alert, listen to them. These little steps don't just protect you, they create a powerful collective defense for all of us.
At the end of the day, we have to look at COVID-19 for what it was, a warning. A global wake-up call to start taking this threat seriously. The scientific consensus couldn't be clearer. Another pandemic isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The only question left is whether we will have learned enough from the last one to be ready for the next.